Is language learned by exposure alone? If we just listen and read enough, will fluency naturally emerge? That idea has shaped language teaching for decades, but it is only part of the truth. Stephen Krashen made a strong and necessary correction. At a time where language teaching was dominated by grammar, structure, and rules, he restored something more fundamental: input. Understanding language, hearing it, speaking it, reading it, being immersed in meaning. And that was important because without input, there is nothing to acquire. No language enters the system. Krashen restored that balance. He reminded us that language is not built from rules first, it's built from understanding. That insight remains valid today. But the problem is what happened next. Krashen's theory was a correction. It was not a complete system. Yet over time, it has been interpreted as if it were the whole picture. Input became not just important, but sufficient. Grammar became unnecessary. Correction becomes something to avoid. And this is where the distortion begins. We move from one imbalance, too much focus on rules, to another, too much reliance on passive exposure, even if it's active exposure. Krashen's theory was a correction. It was not a complete system. Yet over time, it has been interpreted as if it were the whole picture. Input became not just important, but sufficient. Grammar became unnecessary. Correction became something to avoid. And this is where the distortion begins. We moved from one imbalance, too much focus on rules, to another, too much reliance on exposure. One of the deeper problems lies in a hidden assumption that adult learners can acquire a second language in the same way children acquire their first. But these are not the same processes. A child has no prior language, is immersed constantly in developing cognitively, and is actively corrected and guided. An adult already has a complete language system, filters everything through that system, has limited exposure, and learns under very different conditions. So the analogy breaks down. And even in children, language is not purely absorbed. They are corrected, often directly, sometimes firmly, by parents and family. They are prompted, guided, and shaped in how they speak. So even first language development is not passive. It is active, social, and corrective. Input is necessary. That part is not in question. But input alone does not build language. Without output, learners do not test what they know. They do not discover gaps, and they do not develop control. Without correction, errors stabilize and accuracy plateaus. Without intervention, language remains internal, not functional. What we see in practice are learners who understand a great deal but struggle to speak, hesitate, or remain limited in expression. These are not competing ideas, they are interdependent. When one is overemphasized, the system weakens. Krashen identified one essential component, but the system is larger than that component. Krashen also emphasized low stress, and this is broadly true. Excess anxiety blocks learning. But it does not follow that all pressure is harmful. In reality, some pressure sharpens attention, some difficulty drives learning, and some discomfort is part of growth. The issue is not stress versus no stress. It is the balance between challenge and overwhelm. So, where does this leave us? Krashen was not wrong. He was correcting an earlier mistake, but his correction has been taken too far. We should not return to grammar heavy, rule first teaching, but we should also not remain in a model of passive exposure and only input. The more accurate position is this: input is primary but not sufficient. Language is still built through use, correction, and interaction. Language is not only absorbed, it is shaped. And fluency does not come from input alone, it comes from engaging with the language actively, repeatedly, and with guidance.